Racewatch 12 with Kate Heidemann is brought to you by Builder Service and Menke GMC Mazda.
The short track in Martinsville, Virginia was the place where 12 total NASCAR drivers' playoff campaigns came to a close over the past weekend. The Xfinity and Cup Series had 2 drivers already clinch a spot into the championship finals next week, but the Truck Series only had 1. 7 drivers still had to fight to make it to the final round, with some of these drivers needing this win to advance. The drivers out front at the start of this race weren't exactly in that dire of a situation. Christian Eckes had a great launch on the green flag, and he'd prove himself very dominant, leading every lap to the Stage 1 victory. Stage 2 would be no different. The entirety of this stint ran green, save for the last couple laps with Christian Eckes lapping playoff driver Raja Carruth. The 19 led up until 2 to go when the yellow came out for the second time for Dylan Lupton, but Eckes would still win the stage under caution. It was all smooth sailing for Eckes. He led up until 20 to go when the absolute last thing he was hoping for came to pass. A caution for an incident between Corey Day and Brett Moffitt meant that the 4-second lead he held over second place was now gone. With only so little left in this race, he could not afford to mess up the next restart. Taylor Gray would get a really good jump. He was able to keep right on Eckes' bumper and even attempted to move the 19, but yet again the yellow flew for Johnny Sauter. The next restart went even better for the 17 truck. He cleared the 19 using the outside line, but as soon as they hit turn 3, Eckes shoved Gray up the track to retake the lead. Ben Rhodes would come up and pull the same move on Eckes and pass him to the lead a lap. But once again, the 19 made good use of his bumper to move the 99 and this time hold the lead down for a couple more laps, taking the win at Martinsville and advancing to Phoenix. Eckes joins Grant Enfinger in the final 4 with the win. And then making it in on points is Corey Heim and Seymour, Wisconsin's Ty Majeski. Despite his performance this year suggesting otherwise, this is Christian Eckes' first time in the Final 4 and his 4th full-time season. Enfinger and Heim have now made the Final 4 for the 2nd year in a row. Majeski makes his way back in for the first time since 2022 after failing to make it in last year. 2023 champion Ben Rhodes was eliminated in round 1 this season, so we are guaranteed a new champion this year. Whoever finishes best of these 4 contenders at Phoenix will be the 2024 Craftsman Truck Series champion. We head now to the Xfinity Series, where 2 spots at Phoenix are already claimed, with some strong non-playoff contenders here ready to perhaps play spoiler to the must-win drivers. Rhinelander's Parker Retzlaff put the 31 car on pole for the race, and he led the field to green alongside Anthony Alfredo, also finding some speed this weekend. Retzlaff held down that lead for the first few laps, fighting to hold off playoff contender Chandler Smith. That's when the first yellow flew for AJ Allmendinger, whose tire went down early due to some contact with Cole Custer. Retzlaff's lead came crumbling down shortly after at the hands of the previously mentioned Cole Custer. Parker's day only got worse from there when on a restart to close out Stage 1, he got thrown into the wall as a result of a stack-up which essentially ended his day. Stage 1 ended in a 1-lap shootout between Cole Custer and Eric Almirola, where Almirola would steal the win away from Custer by a margin of 0.001 seconds, once more adding to that impressive number of photo finishes in this season alone. Almirola would also be the car to beat in Stage 2, replicating the truck race and sweeping the stages, battling hard with Ryan Sieg to secure it, only taking it by a car length. Almirola just had the car to beat the entire day. Despite many cautions and subsequent restarts throughout the race, nobody had anything for the 20 car. Eric Almirola, despite a late charge from Sammy Smith, would play spoiler for the 3rd time this year and take the win at Martinsville. Now before moving on, I would like to draw attention to one particular restart. 25 to go, Chandler Smith started alongside Almirola with a shot at the win if he could pass the 20. At this point in the race, he was mathematically out and needed the win to advance, but he didn't get a real shot at it when Cole Custer moved him up the track, losing them both valuable spots and, as we saw, the win. That incident led to this confrontation after the race. They would both be seen arguing until Chandler lands a single punch on Custer before they are split by their crews and officials. In an interview after, Custer had this to say.
He kept us from winning a race, I feel like, at Kansas, and he used the bumper on me, I used the bumper on him. I don't know how we're not even. And then he punched me in the face. I can't even tell if he really punched me in the face, it was so soft. But at the end of the day, it was, we'll go on to Phoenix.
At the end of the day, Chandler had a reason to be upset, as that move cost the 81 his championship hopes, while Custer's would live another day. Custer will get a chance to defend his championship next week. He's heading into Phoenix with his competition being another 2023 championship final driver, Justin Allgaier, who's making his 6th Final 4 appearance this year. Austin Hill carries the torch for RCR this year, making his first Final Four appearance ever thanks to his win at Homestead. Then rounding out the Final Four is AJ Allmendinger, who was in his second ever Xfinity Finals, his first appearance being all the way back in 2021. This also marks the first year since 2020 that a Toyota will not be in contention for the Xfinity Series Championship. On to the Cup Series action. One driver who had the deck completely stacked against them was Denny Hamlin. He would start from the back due to a practice crash, and with him already below the cut line, he would need to somehow make it all the way to the front and win the race. Chase Elliott is also in a must-win situation and would start the race in a much better spot, on the front row. Truex got a good enough launch to take the lead, but within the first 40 laps, Elliott came back and passed the 19 to become the first playoff driver in the lead. Bad luck didn't seem to escape the Gibbs cars. A little later on in Stage 1, Christopher Bell lost his car in Turn 1. Although he wasn't in a must-win situation, his points cushion has all but evaporated. Stage 1 concluded with just 2 leaders on the day, with Chase Elliott taking the extra 10 points, just a car length over teammate William Byron. Stage 2 started off entirely dominated by Byron, persevering through multiple cautions. The 24 only dropped the lead when he conceded it, opting to head down pit road. This move allowed a whole new crop of drivers to lead a few laps, being on a different strategy. Ryan Blaney was a playoff driver to lead that charge. The 12 car showed little weakness in the first few laps, but the stage victory was quickly put in jeopardy courtesy of his former teammate Brad Keselowski. The 6 worked his way around the 12, and while Blaney expressed frustration over the radio, at times threatening Brad, Blaney never acted on it, racing Keselowski clean the rest of the way through Stage 2. Brad Keselowski would take the green and white for his first stage victory this season. The bad luck never ended for Christopher Bell when, on the cycle of pit stops during the stage break, his crew wasn't able to fully secure the lug nut on one of his wheels, forcing the 20 back down pit road, losing every bit of track position they had with only 230 laps remaining. Back up front, Keselowski kept that great momentum, holding down the lead for nearly the first 100 laps of this stretch before Ryan Blaney caught back up to the 6. Keselowski was able to hold off Blaney long enough to make it to green flag pit stops, where although he was able to beat Blaney off pit road, William Byron beat both of them. He would have cycled out with the lead if a caution didn't come out before leader Chase Elliott came down pit road, which luckily for the 9 came. The 9, 20, and 12 all went down pit road, while the 24 and 5 stayed out to lead the field back to green. This time around, Kyle Larson was the Hendrick driver with control over the field. Larson held the lead down until 25 to go when the pressure set in and Chase Elliott came back to take the lead once again, only for Elliott to lose that lead to Ryan Blaney, who made an even bigger comeback. Ryan Blaney would lead the rest of the way to clinch one of the remaining spots in the championship 4. The final spot up until turn 3 of the last lap looked to be William Byron, but Christopher Bell managed to pass Bubba Wallace for the last point he needed to tie Byron. Since Bell had placed higher than Byron in the previous round of 8 races, Bell would win a tiebreaker and just barely clinch the last spot on an extremely tumultuous day for the 20 team. Or so we thought. Bell's last lap pass on Wallace involved him colliding with the wall while still holding the throttle, riding it to the checkered flag. People who remember this race from 2 years ago may remember Ross Chastain's Hail Melon move that secured him a Final Four spot. As a result of the move in 2022, a rule was created completely outlawing the wall ride. NASCAR ruled that Bell's move was classified as a violation of that rule, and as a result, he will not advance to the Final Four. This gave that spot back to William Byron. Blaney and Byron will join Joey Logano and Tyler Reddick still in contention for a NASCAR Cup Series championship at Phoenix next week. For Racewatch 12, I'm Kate Heidemann.